As crazy as it no doubt was, I really enjoyed the 6th season of Riverdale. I mean, we've wanted to see magic and sorcery in this universe for so long, and I feel like they totally delivered. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing season 6 of Riverdale. And as a massive Riverdale fan, and as a massive fan of superheroes and the supernatural, I just had so much fun with this season. I mean, after the chilling adventures of Sabrina was set within the Riverdale universe, we have wanted to see that kind of stuff happening in Riverdale, and we finally got a whole dedicated season of it, and it was just so brilliant. I mean, it was absolutely bonkers at points and really over the top. I mean, that really is the Riverdale mantle, but it just worked and integrated so perfectly with its darker edge, and the characters were really wicked. The supernatural was really cool. The superpowers were really great, and the wider mystery of Percival Pickens was really cool. And that tease of the 1950s taking place in season 7 was really cool as well. So we are going to be doing a full breakdown review, as well as some predictions of what are going to happen next season in this video review. So this season worked really well in terms of having little mini episodes that are building towards this big massive mystery and crescendo of a finale, and there are 3 main storylines that took place in season 6. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, is Riverdale, which was such a unique way of starting this season in terms of having 5 mini episodes that seemed as if they were just one-off little mini darker storylines. But this then bled into Riverdale, and it not only became integrated, it actually became part of continuity. And I just loved all of the multiversal jumping and variants of both Jughead and Tabitha. That was so brilliant at the end of this season. We did link up everything together. We then of course have Percival's War, which was of course the big bad main storyline in this season in terms of this really mythical dark character that really flips every single character's world in Riverdale upside down, quite literally, and just brings so much supernatural darkness and evilness into this world, and literally was just a force to be reckoned with, and was always one step ahead of everybody. Even if they did seem as if they are winning against Percival, Percival Pickens was just able to totally turn the tables around, and it was really nice to see a very different big bad character to, of course, Hiram Lodge, who was the big bad enemy of Riverdale for a number of seasons, and it was really cool to see a British, very different type of character doing this. And of course, all of the main characters got superpowers, so it was really cool to see them using this against Percival. And like I said before, all of the little episodes of building up towards this big final battle, apocalyptic battle. For example, the overdue library books, which were just a bit of a ruse to try to get personal items from the main characters, and using them to create his train tracks and the new hero of Riverdale. I feel like all of those mini episodes are really brilliant, and were just contributing to the wider darker mystery. And I just feel like the creators just totally went there and just did a really good job with this whole apocalyptic setting, and it just worked so fantastically in the world of Riverdale. And then finally, we of course have the Comet storyline, which was Riverdale's own version of the Don't Look Up Netflix film. And it was a really different type of final episode, as of course episode 21 was the crescendo battle against Percival, and then episode 22 kind of felt a little bit lighter, a little bit more emotional, a lot more character centric, and it was a really cool slower paced way of ending the season, which then teased the 1950s time jump backwards, which is going to be so interesting in season 7. But like I said, more on that later. Now let's look at the positives of season 6. So I feel like they fully embraced all of the superpowers and the supernatural side of things really well. And I wasn't sure whether or not the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina universe could be integrated so slickly and so brilliantly into the world of Riverdale, but I have to say they did such a good job, and it was so authentic in terms of all of the individual power nuances that was given to all of the different super teen characters. Like I said, I love the fact that we got a brand new big bad. They kind of removed Hiram Lodge from the map, and we've now got Percival Pickens as the big bad. I wasn't sure, I have to say, in his first few episodes when he came down. I didn't know if he could actually be this big bad against every single person, but to his credit, he did a phenomenal job, and I just loved it how right at the end of the season they just wrapped everything up with the Riverdale storylines as well. And I love the Riverdale storylines, for example, the deal with the devil, the Sabrina episode, the sacrificing Archie episode. I feel like they did such innovative stuff in the first couple of episodes, and it really did set the scene really well for what is going to come next in this season. And it had its quintessential Riverdale aspects as well. For example, the musical numbers, all of those were actually really cool. We had a somewhat somewhat musical episode as well, but actually quite a number of musical performances in a number of episodes, which is really, really cool. I have to say, Camila Mendes singing Toxic as soon as she found out she had the Black Widow powers was just a stroke of genius. And I just feel like, you know, Riverdale is always super over the top, really, really dark, and just celebrates its characters so brilliantly, and this season was definitely no exception. And I feel like they use the characters absolutely perfectly in terms of having all of these individual storylines and then really bringing the gang together. And then sometimes, you know, some gang members are going to betray other people, some of them are going to be removed from the map as they are literally going to be killed off. So I just feel like, you know, they used all of their ensemble moments together really, really nicely. However, from a negatives point of view, I would have loved there to have been a little bit more happening from a heroics point of view using the superpowers. When Jughead and Tabitha went into the Riverdale world, when we saw super teens, I just thought there was so much more potential to be a little bit similar to that in terms of using superpowers, but I have to say what they did do was really, really good. I just feel like they could have pushed it a little bit more. Also, I know they had the darker mystery with Percival Pickens and a lot of supernatural mythical stuff happening in the background, but I just feel like they didn't have as many mysteries to solve in this season, whereas in the previous season there were loads of mysteries, especially for the Betty character, whereas this time I feel like she was just exploring a lot of her inner being. Is she really a good person? Is she destined to be an evil person? Which was really, really interesting, but I just feel like I was missing the Betty Cooper mystery solver, as all of the mysteries were to do with the Percival Pickens character, which was really, really great. I just would have loved there to have been a couple more in there too. But nonetheless, I have to say, from a storyline perspective, season 6 of Riverdale was absolutely awesome. So I absolutely love the cast of Riverdale. I feel like Roberto has done such a phenomenal job in terms of all of the casting decisions, and then all of the characters that they play is just so brilliant. It literally is one of the best things about Riverdale. So let's go through them one by one. So first, of course, you have KJ Apa, who is playing Archie Andrews, and I have to say, his performance in this season was miles better in the past couple of seasons. I wasn't the biggest fan. If you check out my other reviews for the other seasons of Riverdale, you'll see that I do give Archie Andrews a little bit of a hard time, as he hasn't been as good as the other characters, or as good as he was in the early years of Riverdale. But this season, he has totally brought it back. I thought he was so good. I feel like he was really helped by the fact that he had the power of invulnerability, which at the start of this season, they really used really, really well. And then, of course, he was partnered up with my favorite character, Lili Reinhart's Betty, who was just working so well as a little bit of a double act and a partnership. I love the fact that they brought in Palladium, his own version of Kryptonite. I feel like they borrowed from the superheroes in DC and Marvel so brilliantly. And he really was the town's hero. I mean, he has always been, but they really did focus on it in this season. And with that, there was a lot of betrayal as well. A number of people, for example, Frank, his own uncle, and Reggie, somebody he really trusted, were betraying him, as well as a number of other characters as well. So how is he going to deal with this was really, really fascinating. And also, this character just never gave up, so I feel like he's so inspiring from a role model point of view, and I feel like KJ Apa just literally threw himself, as he always does, into the Archie Andrews character, but this season in particular, the script really helped him. Next up, we have Lili Reinhart, who, like I said, Betty Cooper is my favourite character, as in the first 5 seasons of this show, she always had the best storylines in terms of all of the mystery solving, and I just feel like Lili Reinhart is such a formidable actress. Her facial expressions alone, you can literally feel everything that she is expressing. If she's very terrified, if she's really angry, if she's really upset, if she's really, really euphoric. I feel like she is such a talented actress. In this season, I feel like they really did focus a lot on the dark energy of Betty. Is she destined to be an evil person, or can she break this? And can she become a good person? I mean, at the start of this season in Riverdale, after Riverdale, of course, she was doing a little bit of stuff with TBK and the FBI as well. And that was really, really cool, but I just would have loved even more truer, grittier, deeper mystery solving. I also would have loved to have magical powers to have been a little bit more developed. I feel like it was really interesting in terms of her being able to identify who's got a good aura and who's got a bad aura. But come on, she could have done a little bit more with her powers. And the TBK mystery has been going on for 3 seasons now, so I hope in season 7 we're able to finally find out who really is the person behind the mask and why are they tormenting Betty Cooper so much. Next up, we have Cole Sprouse, who was so good as Jughead. I really did miss Betty and Jughead, as I feel like as a double act and a duo and a partnership, they are so good, and they both really elevate the other characters really, really successfully. And I just feel like whilst Betty and Archie are really great too, I absolutely love Betty and Jughead. But this season, I have to say, Jughead's probably my favourite character, as all of his storylines are so good. First up, I loved all of the multiverse stuff. I feel like the Jughead paradox in episode 5 was so clever, and I loved revisiting both of these characters towards the end of this season and just seeing how 3 Jugheads are going to be interacting with one another. I thought it was really interesting as well in terms of making this character lose his hearing, because of course he was right next to the bomb when it exploded. I thought his powers of traveling through portals, which was such a rip-off of Doctor Strange's portals powers, was really, really cool. Of course, all the multiversal stuff was linked to the Jughead character too, and I think his mind reading was just used so much in every single episode, in almost a lot of his scenes as well, which I thought was really, really cool. And then the way in which Percival Pickens just destroyed this in his brain, I thought was literally quite heartbreaking. And then when he has everything that he ever wants in heaven, he's not sure about whether or not he wants to go back to the real world. So I just feel like the Jughead character was so good. Next up, we have the absolutely formidable Camila Mendes playing the incredible Veronica Lodge character. Although it was a really interesting decision in terms of the first half of this season, after Riverdale again, to have this character secluded from the group and really focusing on her own individual storylines, for example with the casino, with Reggie, and of course killing Hiram. I feel like they could have pushed that particular storyline a little bit more, but I feel like they really quickly just wanted to completely remove Hiram Lodge from the map, so that it is all about Percival Pickens. I would have loved there to have been a few more scenes between Veronica and Betty. I feel like there were a few, but then otherwise it was just the entire group, and I really love these 2 characters, so hopefully in season 7 when they're back in high school we'll get more of this. I thought her power set was absolutely perfect for Veronica Lodge in terms of having the Black Widow evil kiss of death, and I just love how this character is so unafraid of really unapologetically being herself. This character is full of confidence, really can hold her own, and is a true badass in pretty much every single situation. So I feel like Veronica Lodge is just absolutely wicked as always. And now we have to talk about Madelaine Petsch's Cheryl Blossom, who was so formidable. I feel like this season was literally made for her. A true supernatural expert, and a lot of characters are really leaning on her, and I feel like Cheryl Blossom was just able to solve everything. Her superpower set was just so brilliant as well. Really true again to the Cheryl Blossom character, and I love the way in which they were involving Abigail into this storyline as well, when she was literally taking over her body. I loved her Scarlet Witch moment in the final few moments in episode 21, so phenomenal. And I really liked her relationship with the Heather character. I thought they were a really cool pair, but of course they've always said that Predestiny states that the soulmates actually are with Cheryl and with Tony, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the future with these 2 characters. I love how she resurrected Jason Blossom as well. I would have loved there to have been a little bit more with these 2, but the moments we did get were really, really cool, and it was really cool to finally see the Jason Blossom character actually speaking. And also through the Cheryl Blossom character we have Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which was so good, so phenomenal seeing Kieran Shipka back in Riverdale, and I feel like she was really good in Riverdale as well as Riverdale. And I love Nana Rose, easily one of my favourite characters, such a dark, evil, hilarious character. And I feel like she was really, really cool with Cheryl. And on the hilarious point, I feel like Cheryl Blossom still, from her first few moments in season 1 to now, is easily able to own a room and is just able to dominate it and be really, really funny too. Vanessa Morgan was really, really cool in this season too as the Tony character. I feel like she was a true serpent queen. I feel like she did a little bit more in the previous season, whereas this time she was just being a protective mother with Anthony, which you can understand why, but I just feel like she was just a little bit limited in terms of her storyline potential. And of course she is in a relationship with Fangs, and it was always them 2 against Kevin. Speaking of Kevin, I thought he was really, really interesting, especially when he was siding with Percival. Of course Percival was influencing his mind, but I thought it was really interesting actually, as Kevin also joined the farm against Betty. So this character, in a similar way to Reggie, does always go on the dark side. Speaking of Reggie, I thought Charles Melton was really, really cool in this season too, and I just love dark Reggie. He was so good when he was Hiram Lodge's right-hand man, and it was so fascinating as well to see him with Percival Pickens, and really stabbing a lot of other characters, quite literally in Archie's case, in the back. Him warring and sparring with Veronica Lodge literally is fireworks. And of course he was also quite emotional when he found out that his dad is dying. So I feel like Reggie was really, really great this season. Erin Westbrook is really, really great as Tabitha Tate. Absolutely love how loyal she is to Pop Tate. And I thought her power set with time traveling was really, really brilliant too. So many moments that they took from Doctor Strange's Marvel moments, and they integrated it really, really successfully actually in this season. For example, seeing all of the number of eventualities and outcome in the massive apocalyptic war with Percival. But I have to say, unfortunately, I feel like she's got 0 chemistry with Jughead, and I only really see these 2 characters as friends, and it just makes me want to see Jughead with Betty so much more. Loved Alice as well. Madchen Amick is so brilliant as the Alice Cooper character. I loved her moments when she is just so broken with Lili Reinhart's Betty Cooper character, but otherwise she was causing so so much craziness as well when she was influenced by Percival. Love the fact that they brought lost brother Charles back as well. I would have loved there to have been again more storylines with him. I know they kind of did explore a lot with him and Chick as well, but I mean he is the brother of Betty and Jughead, so really should and could do so much more. And then finally we have Percival Pickens himself, who was brilliantly played by Chris O'Shea, and I feel like he was really bringing all of the darker we want to hate you kind of aspects with this character, but at the same time he's just a true powerhouse and is a true expert on everything to do with supernatural darkness, evilness, mythical stuff as well. And I just feel like he was a true thorn as well against all of the individual characters as well as when they are in a group setting as well. And I loved the way in which they really did outsmart him right at the end, but then he was also one step ahead of them. And I have to say, from a big bad point of view, he was really, really great. So from a cast and characters point of view, even though they could have improved certain things and given us a little bit more time with certain characters, on the whole they were incredibly successful in season 6 of Riverdale. So from a visuals point of view, I have to say season 6 of Riverdale just really did go there, and there was no expenses paid, as everything just looked so good. And I just love the fact that they really went there with everything. So for example, the superpowers looked really, really cool. And of course, in the wider CW universe, there are a lot of other shows that have superpowers. So for example, Charmed, and of course all of the Arrowverse series as well. And I feel like they really did lend into all of those superpowers visual effects, as it looked really, really similar to what you have seen in other CW shows, and it just worked so brilliantly. And then of course we have the darker supernatural mythical stuff, which did borrow a lot from Supernatural. And then we of course have the musicals, which have the darker edge to them as well, in line with the rest of this season. And then we had all of the plagues in that particular biblical episode, which was just so chilling. And the fog as well definitely did feel very Stephen King inspired. Then we had the quintessential Riverdale stuff, so for example a mass murderer, mainly the TBK character, running around doing loads of crazy stuff. And then we had SlaughterCon, literally Riverdale's version of Comic-Con. And we've seen something similar in the Scream movie, so it was really, really cool to kind of see it in Riverdale's universe. And we had Veronica and Reggie's Casino, we had Pop Tate in here, we had Percival Pickens' shop, we had Thornhill's Sketch Alley, so many brilliant set pieces. I feel like this season from a visuals perspective was really, really strong. So from a comparisons point of view, let's look at the Riverdale seasons first. So I feel like this season is easily the most similar to the Gargoyle King season in season 3. I mean, season 1 and season 4 so far my favourite. I feel like the Jason Blossom, Who Killed Jason Blossom season was just so good. And then season 4, when we had the new prep school that Jughead was going to, and we also had the videotapes as well, absolutely loved that season. And I feel like season 6 neatly sits in with those 3 other ones as well. Of course, it's really similar to Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This season was so inspired by all of the darkness and the resurrections from that show. It just worked so well from Greendale into Riverdale. I guess you can also compare it to Pretty Little Lies and Ravenswood as well. And even though this season was a lot darker than these 2 shows, I feel like from a post-high school perspective, it is pretty similar to Gossip Girl and 90210. So from a comparisons point of view, I absolutely loved season 6 of Riverdale. So I'll be honest, when I first saw the moments at the end of season 6 in terms of them going back to the 1950s, I was a little bit unsure, but actually the Archie comics are from the 1950s, so I feel like this idea is really, really interesting, and the creator has said that they have wanted to go back to high school, but they didn't want to redo all of the storylines that they did in the first 4 seasons, so this is their kind of new way of having a bit of a blank canvas, a new clean slate, and being able to tell new stories in an old setting in a new way, which I think is really, really intriguing, and it's going to be really cool as Jughead is the only person that remembers what happened in the past, and I feel like we are going to stay in the 1950s, maybe for half a season, and this is in continuity, so I wonder if certain characters will remember what happened in the past in certain new relationships. Maybe certain couples are going to re-find each other, for example Betty and Jughead, and also Veronica and Archie. And of course Cheryl and Tony, I feel like as this is the last season, I feel is going to really celebrate everything from the past 7 years. So hopefully we'll get loads of characters, pretty much every single character that they have ever created, back for the final season. I just hope we get FP Jones back. I feel like Skeet Ulrich needs to come back. I love how every single season is a little bit different, and I feel like season 7 actually has so much potential, as it will have 0 connections and limitations to the past, and I feel like all of the high school mysteries could be really, really intriguing, so I literally can't wait for season 7. So overall, I really, really enjoyed the 6th season of Riverdale. I love the fact that this show just constantly just reinvents itself time and time again. And I just feel like they just really did just go there with the whole supernatural superpower storyline. I feel like the cast are just absolutely formidable and they really do make it what it is. I am a bit sad that we won't see this whole world in terms of the darkness in Riverdale again, but that being said, I feel like they totally made the most of the opportunity that they had across all 22 episodes, and I thought the Riverdale, everything to do with the multiverses, Percival Pickens, all of the dark Stephen King inspired storytelling was just told so formidably, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give the 6th season of Riverdale a solid 8 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of it, so please let me know in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.